I'm surprised, to see common mistakes that candidates end up making while doing their resumes. The first and foremost that they tend to do is to reproduce lofty ideals, lofty career objectives that they tend to sometimes copy from other folks, which they're not convinced about and which don't go well with their resumes. They need to certainly avoid this common mistake. The other thing that they tend to do is produce a lot of unnecessary, unimportant micro details about their family, addresses. These can easily be taken to the end of the resume and be somewhere on the last page. The other very common mistake that they tend to make is be too verbose. They tend to make text-heavy resumes where they want to tell everything about themselves. They got to remind themselves they need to be focused and precise and give a very clear picture of themselves. A resume is not supposed to be, the Bible on them. It's just supposed to give a brief, precise picture.
Okay, I think there are a lot of cliches which one needs to avoid in a CV, but let me talk about the three big ones. I think the first and foremost is, rather than talking about what one needs to avoid, I'd like to talk about what one should focus on, be more positive about it. I think the first and foremost one is to, the presentation of the CV is very important, what it looks like. The moment a CV hits my desk or my laptop, the moment I look at it, it should look appealing. Oftentimes I recommend to youngsters to consider adding a photograph, for example. That kind of just makes it a little more appealing. Look at a CV from it's data driven. Let's not have long essays. You're not doing a PhD thesis. This is about getting the relevant information, put it in form of points, crisp, to the point. I think that is very important. The other one, very important one, is about being honest. I think it's very important to be honest about whatever you're writing in your CV. So if you've done only 6 months experience in a particular skill, put the 6 months, don't make it into 16 months, right? I think that's very, very important when you put together something in your CV. The other thing is, let's stick to the relevant details which a job or a role requires. Which is to say that if you're applying to be a Bharatanatyam dancer, don't talk about your experience in Kathak. So let's stay focused on what the job wants, and you should always tailor-make your CV, being honest of course, to a particular role. Don't just have that one CV and float it all over it against every job specification. So these would be some of the things I would advise candidates to keep in mind when they're putting a CV together.
We look in the resumes that it should be crisp and short, it should be well organized and formatted, it should be able to give the true picture of what the person has been done in his past experience. Yeah, this is what we look at any CV when we look at, that's the most important thing in the whole CV.
If I focus on CV construction, I would clearly say candidates should focus on, one, restricting by using motherhood statements that become kind of a showstopper for an assessor. It is also important not to overstate achievements. Keep it to the realistic achievements that have been accomplished in the past. Also, glorifying roles and responsibilities that again become kind of a showstopper when the interview is progressing to the next stages. Those could be the three big cliches that I can think of off the hand.